that. All those in favor? And it's,
You don't need that.
whatever time it is.
7:05.
6:07.
So, Madam Chairperson, if, I came tonight to just, help remind since you're getting close to presenting to the council, to help remind everybody of the end game here from what the council's expecting. And also to help you set expectations on like where the budget is going at this point, as we start getting ready for the next budget cycle. We have 4 union contracts that we are looking at, coming to the ballot from the town side. And we have the teachers' union contract coming from the school side. Our healthcare costs for a family plan right now on the town side is $41,000 a year. We are not expecting a large increase, but we are expecting an increase as we do every year in healthcare. Right now, the town is, on the town side of business, we are not really looking at any large capital projects. But on the school side of the business, they're looking at projects running as high as $8 million a year to $8 million bonding to be able to move the kindergarten in one of 3 options that they're proposing. So there's already a lot coming forward. All the economic indicators that are being shared with us are not very good. Everything, and I'm sure you've noticed just when you go to the grocery store that everything's up 20%.
Yes.
So the charge from the council is let's figure out how to get the Reverend Morrison house, back in service. What I will share with you is that I was at the election outside all day on Tuesday. Almost 5,000 people came through. There was over 5,000 people at Old Home Day. I have been going to the farms and to the craft shows and everything in town, and not one person has asked me about the Lions Hall / Reverend Morrison's house. I've not gotten one inquiry. So part of what the council I think is looking for from the charge is to be able to start to tell the story, and hopefully what does phase 1 look like? We don't have a lot of money. We have some money, but we don't have a lot of money to be able to put the building back in service, and perhaps maybe we have to look at, I think Sherry brought up and she shared with me about more grants and fundraising and maybe a thermometer outside like other towns do, and say that we have to start looking at maybe some sort of public-private partnership of some sort. But just to help remind you of what the charge is not to spend $1.5, $2.5, $3.5 million and redo the entire building. The charge is what does phase 1 look like? How do you get there? And what's the long-term plan? Which is, I think, was what you've started to lay out. But just hopefully that's a helpful reminder, because there's other people looking to come to the council for things, and my current read of the appetite of the council for projects, considering the state of the economy, is very low. So I hope that helps you.
Yeah. It's sort of stating what I think I already felt.
Well, we have to take care of our employees. I mean, that's gonna be the primary thing we'll be looking at. The voters make that final decision, but retaining employees is very difficult, and getting good employees to stay is difficult.
I don't think there's not going to be much of an appetite when we come to March for a major expenditure.
Well, we're gonna go through the budget cycle and we'll vet that out. I mean, so we'll see where that goes.
You mentioned 8 million with school. The thing that I got an email about presented options that were, 2 of the options were up around 20 million.
Well, 8 million, I went with the low number. Because I would think that
That was the one with the portables.
I mean, I don't know if I know the voters well enough in Londonderry to state this, but I would state probably based on that survey, and people are going to look at the lower number harder than they're looking at the larger number.
You're probably right, unfortunately.
And keep in mind, the largest bond ever was $11 million for the gym 20 years ago, and we've never seen anything that big again. The fire station went for $6 million.
Yeah.
The voters are who they
I
are.
know. I believe what you're saying. I agree with it. I think it's a pity, because I think portables are going to cost us more long term.
They're a separate form of government, and we're gonna let them worry about that. Right now, what
Yeah.
we need from you folks is how do we put, a building that will deteriorate every day a little bit more back in service,
Oh, yeah.
so that we can help the community see the value of what something long-term may look like.
Good question.
Kathy Main, I have a question for John. In terms of timing, my expectation with this process was that our charge carried us through September, and we were to come back to the town council in October with our recommendation. We're a
Yes.
few weeks away from the end of October. We're coming in on the 23rd to make an interim report to you, the rest of the council. So does our charge from your perspective dead end at the end of September, or if we need a few more weeks into October, do we have that latitude, or is that something that we should address when we come before the town council?
I think it's up to the 5 councilors on how they wanna proceed, and I think they'll, I certainly if they are, if you need more time, I have never known one of the councils not to allow more time. Our budget kickoff is the first weekend of November, so if that gives you some help on timing.
Yeah, thank you.
So, John, thank you for that reminder. I do think, I certainly wouldn't disagree with you on the appetite of the town council, because you know that much better than I. I do think that the appetite of the town is hard to gauge. And I say that, and we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting, and I had a chance to sit down with Justin Campo this week and look at some finances for the next several years. Some of which we can talk about tonight. But I think the central fire station is a great example where, that was $6 million-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is I talked last week about, marketing makes a difference, right? And I would argue that the school, things that were put on the warrant article last year weren't sold well enough to get the support they needed. The fire department did an amazing job of marketing that campaign. And you wouldn't think that would be a skill set that fire officials would have, but they did a great job of creating the need and voicing the need, and so kudos to them. And that was $6 million, right? And for something that was needed, but it's an expansion of something we already had. And
I could get into the details of it, but we don't need to.
Yeah, but I think they did a really good job.
I'll wait for you to make your
Yeah.
point.
So I do think that if the towns, the voters are educated well enough and sold well enough on a project, that there is an appetite to spend on something. And here, even on the highest end, we're not talking about as much as the fire station was. So I just want to say that I think, because to do anything is going to cost, based on what Dave said last week, at least $1.5 million. So if we're gonna,
Well, I'll give you 3 examples. 25 years ago, they started an open space task force committee. They wanted to have $20 million to be able to go out and buy all the open space in town. What we came to the conclusion is nobody's gonna vote for $20 million. So some of you may recall they voted for $1 million a year for several years, until that kind of ran its course. Around the same, probably about, as that ended, the Public Works Department came forward and said, we need to have $30 million to rebuild all the roads in town. And we came back and we went to the ballot and we went at $1 million a year. And we still spend $1 million a year. And I'll challenge you to find a pothole here in town. The third thing I'll say to you is you have to understand the demographic of the voter. We have 1,055 and older dwellings in this community. They pay $12 million in taxes. That's 10% of the total revenue we take in, and they vote. So we have a declining school population, which has gone from 5,600 in 2005, and if we take out the Hooksett kids and the LEAP kids, we're at 3,700 today. So while there was a time when you could put band uniforms on, and the band consisted of 400 people, and they would come out and they would approve those kind of things, the demographic of the voter has changed. So what we hear at the council level with regards to revenue is we need more services for those that vote. And that's why the fire station passed, is because we're providing, life safety services, because we have 3,000 people who live in those 1,000-ish homes. 2,000, I'll call it 2,000 people live in those homes. and they will vote for the service to have life-saving measures available to them and the state-of-the-art equipment that we have and the state-of-the-art training we have. While I understand what you're saying, and I do agree that it needs to be sold, I can tell you the appetite of the council is not to go with any large bonds. My read of the council is that they will not go with any large bonds. Perhaps you can come in and sell them on them and get them to convince the council they can, but considering the union contracts that are coming forward, they will be millions of dollars when we add them all up. So, we only, keep in mind, we don't only pay wages, we pay FICA, we pay medical, you know, we pay insurance. Just, you know, very simply, if you looked at this morning's Wall Street Journal, there was an article in there about My Wallet. And what it's saying to you is that the cost, across the board, the cost of everything is up almost 20%. The CEO of Goya Foods, you know, did a presentation just recently saying the cost of steel is up 65%. What he charged at 99 cents for a can of beans is now $1.49. That's a 50% increase. That's the same thing we're facing on the town side. So that's why the charge is get it open and show the value. Again, I've been in front of 10,000 people and nobody said one word to me. I stood in front of that building for several hours on Hold Home Day and nobody asked me why it wasn't open. So, yes, you're right, we do need to sell it. Yes, it's a beautiful building and it does need to be restored and it does need to have a maximum capacity of use. And you can certainly bring up something forward for $1.5 million or $2 million. Right? I'm giving you some guidance that I don't know that it's gonna go anywhere. I'm trying to be as frank with you as I possibly can. But what I just discussed with you are all the things the council discusses and thinks about.
Okay, I hear you.
You know, it takes $130 million to run the town and the school and the library. That's a lot of money. And while people in this town, I think, understand that if you're paying $11,000 in taxes in this town, you'd be paying $15,000 in dairy. So you're getting good value. The problem is that we have to continue, you know, people don't want to pay $11,001. But that's what I can share with you. And I'm not trying to interrupt your process, I'm just trying to give you some insight to, you know, when you present what you'll see.
But another way to look at that number is 130 million is a lot. 1.3 million is 1% of that.
But you can't sell the voter that.
I know, I'm just saying there's different ways to
I've lived
do
in the town for 31 years, I've seen everything from 13 months of taxes to, because of issues when Banyan was the police chief, I've seen it all, and fire station lucked out. And they lucked out because of the demographics, the way the town was changing at that point. That $6 million never would have passed 10 years earlier.
Well, you have
Never.
to remember, is 2 years earlier, we failed.
Right. So, this is, I guess, this is, to the voter, this is a wish. This isn't even a need or a want. This is a wish.
Think about it this way. $500,000 for pickleball thing, $250,000 coming out of undesignated fund balance.
So it was a $250 net,
And it failed.
2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, and the people, most of the people who play it are in those 1,000 dwellings, and it failed.
That's true too.
So just, you know, stuff for you guys to think about. Like I said, I'm not looking to interrupt your meeting. I apologize, but I wanted to make sure.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I wanted you to
No, no,
understand
no.
that I didn't want you to come to the council with whatever you were gonna come and then hear this. I figured maybe it would be better for you to hear it now, so that you're prepared when you come to the council, because that's sort of where we're going into budget season, and we've already given some direction, you know, to the, or at least the chairman has given direction, not the council, but the chairman has given direction to the town manager of what the expectations are of what we're looking for.
John, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Today's feel, do you think Trailways would have gotten away with their 4 or 5, 250, 500,000 asks for the rail trail?
Unlikely. Trailways, you see, Trailways is smart. Trailways just got a $600,000 grant.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, you know, and we're gonna, you know, part of the grant is we have to, you know, pony up some money as well. But They sat on the sidelines for 3 or 4 years because they were basically told, no. You know, what you have is beautiful, but, you know, there's other needs in the community. I mean, to give you some sort of an idea, those aerial trucks that you see, the big ladders that we have, the ones that, you know, drive out and everything else, they used to cost, 15 years ago, they cost $1.1 million. They're now $3.6 million. Just to give you some idea of like what we pay for equipment. The tanker truck we bought was, you know, $700,000. You know, the equipment costs a lot of money to do the services that we provide.
So can we get a sheet on what it's costing you to maintain the building as is? And, the yearly cost to keep it up so it stays, in the condition it's in? And if we do decide to go for a phase, look at money and get a first trust of, or the first, whatever you guys call them now, the trust fund of.
The maintenance trust fund?
Yeah, a maintenance trust fund on it, and the first ask is let's say $2,500 in the council's kind and matches $2,500. So the first trust is $500,000, at which point, once the voters in July 1st comes around of next year, with that money is ours to start, for the town to start spending, to get the structural engineer in, to get the electrician in, to get things started. And once people see progress, maybe they'll vote for another 200, you know what I'm saying, or 300,000, and we do it in phases. We don't necessarily do it in phases of the building, we do it in phases of the money.
You'd have to ask Justin Campbell with regards to the maintenance trust fund and whether you can have a revolving fund to do that. I'm not really sure. I don't know if DRA would allow that. That's the Department of Revenue Administration. What I would suggest is that same methodology that we used with regards to open space and to maintenance of roads would be a similar methodology that you may consider, you know, with regards to the Reverend Morrison house. Is that, you know, you go at it at $100,000 a year. I don't know if that's the right number. I'm just picking a number and saying that, you know, the voter, that's a penny. You know.
But I'm looking for.
But you gotta show value first.
For a detailed analysis of what it costs us a year, and like we get a little leak, okay, you guys are gonna go get that repaired temporarily.
That would be repaired out of maintenance trust.
Right.
Justin
So-
Campbell can answer those questions. He would have those numbers.
Because I can't see, as lovely as this presentation is, I can't see us going. I can't see us getting $800,000 on our first ask.
I think what the council's looking for is that if you demonstrate value and we can put in some sort of, I don't know if it's a repetitive bond or if it's a revolving fund, I'm not really sure what the mechanism is, and that people can see that, like, how great this place is, much like, you know, the open space piece. To give you an idea of how effective the open space piece was, is the build out of the town was 42,000 people. Now the current build out is about 33,000 because we bought a lot of the land that was going to be developed. So, and it slowed the growth of the community, which was, you know, it was done to slow the growth based on, you know, population of the schools. None of us really foresaw the change in birth rate that has happened.
And we totally underestimated how many old people, and I'm one of them now.
Yeah.
But how many 55 and older units, and that was done by design to keep kids out of the school district.
Right, and we've now closed that ordinance and there aren't any more being built because we think we've reached the maximum capacity.
Plenty.
So. I
So
hope that
John,
helps.
you're saying, so using that open space, concept of, you know, $1 million this year and another one the next year.
It's called, what you do is you're conditioning the voter on what you're doing and
Yeah.
showing them value as you're going.
As opposed to a bond, which is still amortized out over time, but you get you vote for the entire nut from the beginning.
We bonded all those, they were all 10-year bonds.
Right, but as opposed to 1 million each, right? As opposed to
And
going
we-
for 20 million
Right.
for the first
Well, what
ask.
you do is you continue to show value. It's much like the roads here in town.
Mhm.
As we continue to repair them, again, find me a bad road here in town.
Yeah, no, I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
But see,
because I think it was a smart strategy, but what I'm
Worked out
saying is
well.
you didn't go for $10 million in one
We
warrant
did.
article
and it failed miserably.
Well, right, so you succeeded by going
Right.
And the only
after
reason
1
why,
million, and then another million, and then another million, and found that, and the voters found it to be
and the only
profitable.
reason why the police station and open space, and who else was in that bond, those three?
So we
The
did
three-
three
three
bonds.
bonds.
We did open
Open
space,
space, the police
town
hall,
hall,
and the police station, right,
all in the same bond, so we got three different constituencies to vote.
right, and
that's
that
how
was
it
the only
passed.
reason why that thing passed.
Yeah.
But that is, you know, and a lot of this stuff we kind of learn as we go. And that's why it's good to have some people who know the past history, because you don't make the same mistake twice.
And that's the one that just sunsetted in June.
Right, but see, you know,
But the sunset money is so small now because of where it is in the bond, that it's not even covering the insurance increases and all the other, the
Well, it
utilities
was-
increases
I
and
mean, it was
stuff, and they
600.
they need that money to
Yeah.
just keep
Yeah.
the
I
town
don't wanna- I don't
at a
wanna-
level.
I don't wanna start telling you how much, you know, we think things are going to cost, because that's really for the budget cycle. But we do think that we're looking at, you know, significant, you know, uplift coming at us. And that's why I believe council will be cautious, because they've been cautious in the past when that happened.
Mhm.
So usually past behavior is very predictable of future behavior. Things for you guys to consider. Like I said, I wanna get out of here soon, because you got stuff to do, and Larry's gotta go over at 7. But, please take those things into consideration. I'll leave this with you guys. Please make sure that the TM gets a copy of that, all right?
Thank you, John.
It's just a draft right now, but it,
I think it's what we
Yeah.
wanna bring to the council and thing too, you know?
Yeah, I figured once if we like mark it up and make all of our
Hmm.
changes, this is what we could use.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you very
so
much.
so
Appreciate
what
it.
time are we at right now?
Oh,
Larry's
I see.
gotta get out of here at 7.
Almost 6:30.
All right, so
Oh, I see, I didn't get this.
let's
one.
just,
Oh.
That's wonderful.
let's just skip all the first slides and go to the options. Cause everybody knows the history.
Anybody?
Just go to the first options, let's hear the options.
Page 5.
slide 5.
Page 5.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Derek did a nice job of,
Uh,
showing 1A, 1B, 1C.
Okay, so Derek, why don't you go through
Yeah.
option 1?
Most definitely. So as we spoke last meeting, we decided to go with option 1, A, B, C, and then option 2, 3, and there's that last option, which is 4, which is, there's no slide, but there is a dollar value in the back, which is the demolition. Cause we wanna show that, hey, even demolition is a cost, right?
Oh, yeah,
Right,
that's
right,
right, yeah.
right.
Is that number 4?
I
Yeah.
didn't actually put a slide in it for 4, but it's on page
Which-
14, which is the,
It's the final, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So option 1A is, you know, the rental hall with no kitchen, right? So the building would stay as it currently stands, and enhancements on the interior of the building, and I'm paraphrasing, on the interior of the building and structurally, from an integrity standpoint, to make sure that it's safe and meets the current codes. This option would allow the public to rent the building for any use, and then the kitchen would be removed, and it would be updated in such a way that you could bring in food service and serve the food. The needs for that, per the scope from the inspector, was electrical, restrooms, plumbing, fire detection and alarm system, kitchen removal, building ADA compliance, HVAC, fixing of the main hall floor, exterior water diversion,
Drainage.
exactly, yep, drainage, and then exterior rot. Quickly going through it, so option 1A, I'd put some benefits and drawbacks. Benefits are lower cost of renovation, it's another public space to use for rental in town, another location for public needs during poor weather conditions, which could be a cooling center or a warming building, or if power goes out at people's houses, they have a place to go because the town opens these type of things up to that. And it's also a good way to keep and ensure the town's history. Drawback wise, it's kind of going with the benefit. It's another space to use in town. Potentially low/slow return on investment. Potential for the town to cover all maintenance and utility costs. If there is a low rental usage, right? If we don't make enough from a rental perspective, town's gonna have to cover the rest of it. And potential for pulling rental use from the Historic Society barn, which they rent out for weddings, as well as the other one, the senior center.
Can I ask a couple?
Yeah, most definitely.
Questions, because I've sort of scanned through all
Yeah,
before
yeah.
here. So, the first bullet under drawbacks, is the point kind of sort of referring to the fourth bullet, that we're essentially like robbing Peter to pay Paul?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So it could be seen from a voter perspective. I kind of wrote this from the voter's point of view. Is they would see it as, hey, it's a benefit. Some people would see it as, hey, it's a benefit. I have another place to rent. Other voters might look at it and say, it's another place to rent in town.
That we don't need.
That we don't
In
need.
that
Yeah,
argument.
yeah, in its
Okay.
current capacity.
Okay.
And then the secondary part of that is the potential for pulling business from other locations.
And then the only other, like, suggested edit I would have so far
Yeah.
would be that very first bullet, the way we're presenting it, this would in fact be the lowest cost, as opposed to lower cost.
Yes, this one would be
This would be
this.
the lowest.
Yeah. So lowest. I will
Good
change
point.
that. Good point.
There's still a bar, but that's the lowest one.
Exactly.
Can't go anywhere else.
Exactly. Option.
And we
Oops, sorry.
absolutely have to renovate the bathrooms and the plumbing.
Not necessarily, what they said
Why?
was,
No, it's in the,
She's
I'm
asking.
asking why
Oh
it's
yeah.
in here.
So per his code sheet, we would, because he said in the men's room, and I'm just remembering what I remember off the top of my head.
So we lock it,
Yeah, you could shut it down.
Yeah.
and the other rooms become by
Unisex.
usual,
Yep.
right, whatever
Yep.
it's called.
And then
So-
really the only updates you'd really need to make is
couple handles and things to
handrails,
reset, yeah.
and I think you do need to make the door wider for handicap
Right,
use wise,
yeah.
but that's it.
But there is a standard handicap bathroom, and that would be,
There's the one.
so we do
Exactly.
have a handicap bathroom.
Yeah.
True,
Yeah,
very true.
So that could be very minimum,
Right.
actually,
True.
minimal.
Alright,
I think we,
Frank's got something else.
yeah, Frank,
I met with the building inspector the other day and asked a specific question about the men's room, where the supposed headroom is not enough. Anyway, he said that he never said that. He said that it's strange being underneath the stairs,
That's right, yeah.
and you can go to the bathroom in there without any difficulty, and it's not ADA, it's not gonna be pitched ADA, it's just not. So, the men's room as it sits is okay,
That's what I mean, it's not
The-
perfect, it's awkward, but it's usable.
yes. And we could change a couple of things, you know, bring in another urinal or something like that, but that room is okay. The handicap bathroom is, we've gotta change the toilet, cause the handicap people can't get underneath the sink and reach and flush the toilet at the same time.
okay, so
You
that's a
can't-
simple change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a simple change. Other than that, we have the bar that he wants put up, it's ADA required. So that, if somebody was standing there and,
No, I don't see that being a big issue.
No,
Putting a
I
bar
don't
up.
think
No,
the
I-
bathrooms on the very basic were a problem,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah,
Very
I think-
manageable.
I think the distinction that maybe we were talking about before is between, because this is how we discussed it 2 weeks ago. And then last week when Dave was here, he was talking about a different need for the bathrooms. And it may be from the point when he kind of took his hat off as what is it?
Exactly, he
And
did
put
say
his,
that,
put on
that's
his
right,
resident
yeah.
hat.
Yeah,
To say that if we're gonna do it, let's at least do it well.
Do it
as
right.
opposed to just
Yeah.
do it on the cheap, right?
Yeah.
And so that might be the distinction that I'm recalling. And I would argue that even option 1A we still don't wanna, we still want it to look nice,
Right,
right?
but
As opposed
if
to.
we're gonna save $10,000 and we can put it in the next phase,
Yes.
then you move it.
True, and I think.
That is not a detrimental not fix.
Yeah.
Because that's not affecting the use of the building. That means in the next phase, we could do the bathroom. It's not like it's gonna stop us from getting the place open. And that's what the whole concept is here, is we're trying to come up with a streamline to get the building open.
Yeah, and I
And
think,
not
and
do damage to the fact that we put money into something and we gotta tear it out because we gotta change it.
Yeah, we
So
shouldn't
that's
do
the
anything
thing,
that
right.
precludes one of the later options.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, as far as the ladies' room is concerned, I believe there was a third stall in that room at one time.
Well, I don't,
Which means the plumbing is there
I gotta,
somewhere.
I gotta say, if we put a coat of paint on it and new toilets in there, the ladies' room's okay. People will live with it, cause you go in the old restaurants and they're pretty bad too, right? And people know that it's gonna be an upgrade, I think they'll overlook the bathrooms for a year or two, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I never thought I thought the ladies' room
Was
was
fine.
nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think it was bad,
Well, yeah,
but,
not at all.
I mean,
no,
it's not modern,
but
it's
it's
not
not-
like,
yeah.
it's, marble tile
Yeah.
and marble floors and
Yeah.
fluffing things, and if you go to the Bedford Village Inn and you go to all the other places, they've done as much as they can with old buildings like
Right.
that, and you gotta understand, they're old buildings.
Basic.
Can we continue?
Yes, most definitely. Option 1B, rental hall with a kitchen. First bullet point is the same, that it would stay as is, enhancements for the structural integrity, as well as meeting current codes. This option, the second bullet is also the same, it would be rented to the public. And then the third bullet is different, where the kitchen would be updated to allow renters to bring in and cook food from an up to code standard. All the needs as well are the same, except for kitchen removal, kitchen update.
Could I
Yeah.
ask a question? I hate to sort of
Yeah.
suggest something that's a fairly substantial change to what's a good presentation. Would it be possibly more effective to have something like option 1A plus and just have the additionals?
Yeah. Yeah. To like shorten.
I don't
shorten
know
the
if
sweet.
that's a good suggestion, but
Yeah.
it's a,
Well, they do
Think
kind
about
of build,
it.
they do kind of build on each other.
yes, I know,
Yeah.
but rather than repeating,
Yeah.
No, I hear what you're
Yeah,
saying.
definitely.
I don't see,
Well, just to,
But we could.
What's
just
the
to weigh in
general
on that
opinion,
point, my understanding is that there's 15 minutes on the agenda.
right, you gotta be
And
quick.
so
Yeah.
this is really, really great work, but you've got to pack all of this.
Exactly.
You probably got 10 minutes of presentation time and 5 minutes of
Exactly.
Q&A, and if the council decides to extend beyond, that's their decision, but.
Exactly. And I figured when we do present this, we present it in such a way like you would do at a normal like business meeting, where you have your slides up, right, and you paraphrase, right,
Like
and then
as you
Right,
just did.
exactly.
yeah, and then you give them a copy, you paraphrase, you make your point, they take it and read it after, type thing.
Absolutely.
I figured maybe that'd be the best way, but yes, completely
That
agree,
sounds
because
good.
we're gonna have a limited amount of time.
Very limited.
The needs, again, we already went over that. Benefits, it would be lower cost of renovations, but a little bit higher than option 1A. Again, another space in town, another location for the town to use, and good way to keep and ensure the history. Drawbacks, again, same thing, another space. Potentially low and slow investment, return on investment, the potential for the town to cover costs, and the potential for pulling from other rental spaces. Option 1C. So this is a rent. I did not change that title. So it's expanded rental hall. So good thing we are proofreading this now. So expanded rental hall with no kitchen. no kitchen, okay. So the main portion of the building would stay as it is, as it currently stands, with an addition on the back of the building, with some additional enhancements on the inside to ensure the structural integrity and building meets code. This option would allow for the public to rent the building for any use, including a focus on the arts. And the kitchen would be removed. Minimal updates are the same as above, with electrical, fire, kitchen, building, HVAC, main hall floor. But the large updates would be the building expansion and then the restrooms and plumbing, because in this scenario they would have to be moved.
And
Sorry.
Derek, if I may,
Yes,
to be
Stefan.
fair, because this is my proposal, and I know I'm a lone voice in the wilderness here, but another large update would be sprinklers.
Yep. Okay.
Right, 'cause
Yes.
that's,
Would be,
you'd have to have sprinklers.
and
That's a
Uh,
substantial.
You mean at the time we're putting on this addition?
Well,
Is this
because-
to put an addition on?
This one is the option.
Because it would
for the
increase the
addition on.
capacity.
Okay,
to the
then
point
at
that
that
they
point,
did.
yeah.
oh, yeah.
Okay, that's it, that's way out there in my, but
Yeah.
that's.
Well, I know, I
but-
just want to
but,
acknowledge
yeah,
that,
would-
well, that's what I'm proposing,
If-
and I don't
if
want to
we're
be
getting-
disingenuous to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that
If we're
again,
getting the
include that.
funds, if we're getting the funds for addition, I would say we're probably gonna get the funds for sprinklers.
Well, yeah, but I just want to be
Yeah,
be
but
open
that
about it.
brings in
Yeah.
a lot of things like the extra water
Water
supply and
supply,
that
yeah,
as
yeah.
well, so.
So,
that
I
might have
want to be
an
honest
impact
about
on
it.
your
Yeah.
costs.
Yeah,
So,
no.
so we're talking about this as another phase.
Yes, this is, option C is
It
an
could
out the
easily be
last
done in a
phase,
phased
unless God
format,
grants
Yeah.
or it
us
could just be
$2
done
million.
right off the bat, too.
If you've gone through A and B, then you could continue on through
to
this.
C.
Yeah.
You could, I mean, in a
Right,
perfect
that's
world,
the
you would just
plan.
go directly to your best
That's the
option,
plan,
but
Frank,
What's
I
that?
think is one
Yeah, I was
builds,
just building on what
one
John said
builds
earlier.
off of, one gets the thing open too, and B and C build off of one.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then the benefits and drawbacks. Again, it's mostly the same. So we're good with that. The only additional drawback on this is its high cost of renovation.
It's the high cost of who?
Renovation.
Renovations.
second the other page was that.
Oh,
And again, just, it's a semantics thing, but Larry, for owner location title for the use of arts, visual arts and performing arts would probably be
Yeah.
I can do
yeah,
that.
just
I,
clarity.
so we're on option 2, SAU building,
Yes.
I would
Not
probably
yet.
say,
We're getting
You have
there.
that visual
We're
art
just
instead
finishing
of
up the
others.
slide 10.
On,
Yes.
on board 2, you mean? The anti-use
Correct.
of the
Yep.
visual arts?
Visual arts and performing arts, just, it's just
To expand
semantics.
upon it, definitely. Yeah.
It's just-
I know you haven't even presented it,
Yeah.
but I'm almost thinking we should take it off the table altogether.
We could do that. Yeah.
Because
This one-
part of that, $8 million is them to put the SAU in the Moose Hill.
Well, and this purely came from the,
This
The
came
survey.
from the survey.
So,
thing, so yeah.
yeah, so I don't think
Yeah.
this is
No,
even
yeah.
feasible.
Okay.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And, but I think as this presentation gets positioned with the town council and the audience, I think it makes sense from our perspective just to acknowledge that there is an interest in that, but that's really up to the
But
school.
it's just,
It's
it's
the
just
school
public
district that needs to pursue it.
interest, it's not school district because
That's
they're
what I
totally
was
sick,
thinking.
and I would not waste a lot of time on this slide.
No,
Okay.
I'm just saying, you get that
Yeah.
dispatched really quickly and say, look,
Acknowledge
this is
that-
public, there have been.
This was public.
There's
Yeah.
public suggestion and.
Yeah.
and
For two
we-
and-
We're not
Public
ignoring
Yeah.
it,
suggestion.
but it's
Yeah.
not our
Right, right.
business to pursue it.
and the
Exactly.
committee doesn't feel that's,
No, it is not our.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that.
That would take the 2 slides.
Yep. So those two
And the
slides.
councils can actually read that offline. You know, they can take that offline to go through it, and you're welcome to send it to the school district.
I
But
might
I don't think
condense
we
it if you
really,
can,
I don't,
condense
Yeah.
I
one
think just a
slide.
straight statement that we were given an option to turn it into an SAU building and through public surveys, but we're not
It's not our recommendation.
We're not recommending it.
Yeah.
And this
Right.
would-
Well, I don't even say we're not recommending it,
It's not
we're
our-
just,
it's
it's not
not-
our
Not
purview.
right.
To,
not our
to,
purview.
right,
The-
it's,
the
that's
town-
up to the school district, cause they're completely separate
And
form
they
of
haven't shown
government.
an interest.
Right.
Yeah.
in that.
So that, so
So you
that,
could lump this one in with it if you
Yeah,
just sort
that
of.
makes sense.
Yeah, I might
Consistent
make
with
it one
those
slide,
options
combining
that
the
were-
two.
Yeah.
well, I'm just telling you, I really think if you've got 15 minutes, that's not the place to lose your time.
Yeah, no, I'm saying you could dispense with both of
Big
them
time.
quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but maybe combine them as one, but
Yeah.
like a quick, boom, this was mentioned,
I'm
but-
just saying the SU, I don't
Yeah.
have a problem with the restaurants or
Yeah,
that
and-
kind of stuff.
I don't think that, I'm talking to Bob Slater, I don't think they're interested
They're
anyway.
not,
No.
I mean, I don't, but that's.
I don't
My
think
point
they
is,
should,
I think the restaurant is a good proposal, but I'm not saying don't go
Yeah.
for that, I'm just saying the SU is probably off the
It's
table.
probably off the table, yeah. And I just realized that the page after this got skipped for some reason, so, there's supposed to be a benefits and drawback for option 3, so
Oh,
when we do come back before we present it, I'll have to bring that one back.
And
Um,
with the option 3, everything is listed, right? HVAC, sprinklers, the whole 9 yards.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, so the only thing I will have to put sprinklers.
because with
But we
food
don't
services,
need an
that-
addition, they might not wanna put an addition on,
Maybe
you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Exactly, cause it hopefully it can be
Is that
used
required
as
for food
is.
service, the sprinklers?
I would
Yeah.
think they're gonna need, cause they're not gonna make it on only tables of 65 patrons.
Yeah,
And no bar and, you know, all that's gonna add up, so I would think they're gonna need sprinklers to make it profitable,
You mean more than 99 people?
Yeah.
correct?
Mm.
No, you can only have 65 people if there's tables.
if there's tables, yeah.
I'm a little concerned of what, I don't think we've assessed what sort of impact that might have on the historic integrity.
I don't think it's gonna have any impact on the historical, integrity, because every single, I can name like 50 restaurants that have done that, 50 wedding venues all over New England that have taken old
Historic
good
building.
buildings and turned them into gorgeous restaurants.
That they would have to stay within the
Right,
Yeah,
parameters.
they stay within the envelope.
right.
Yeah, and they rent
So-
from the town, so they can't make their own decisions. It's the town's building.
true.
Right. So my point is, there's no issue with his, have you been to the Bedford Village Inn?
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think they know what they're doing when they are buying it for that reason.
Yeah, yeah. And Buckley's, just that's
Right,
my favorite
Buckley's.
steakhouse.
Right.
But I do have to add a benefits and drawbacks for this one because I did forget it. But just based off the current slide, so the main portion of the building would stay as it currently stands, and with a small limited expansion, if required, I should put that in there, if required, on the back for additional use. The interior of the building would also need some updates to fit the user needs. This option would give the center part of Londonderry some well-needed food type service and service for potential spot for students to grab
Community
food.
gathering.
Yeah, like
community-
after school,
I'd
after
see it more
sports
as a
stuff.
community center than a restaurant, but
Yeah,
I don't know if that came in on the survey.
yeah, yeah. Serve the SAU and this as well as a farm stand.
Oh,
We have
okay.
like 1,000
Farm
farm
stand.
No one said
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think, I don't wanna go into competition with the farm,
Exactly.
and I don't wanna have to hire people to man it.
Yeah.
Probably fit 2 pickleball courts. in there.
And by the way, Richard, have you had dinner at the Coach Stop lately?
Sorry?
Did you,
Stop, another
yeah, another
big
historic
example.
building, an
Yeah.
example of how well,
Best,
right.
right.
So, I mean, they know what they're doing when they
Yeah.
get in there, so, I don't think it'll have any historic
Yeah.
loss.
So I will add that, the benefits and drawbacks page to that. The last slide before the thank you and question and comment slide is these are completely kind of just fictitious numbers /
Okay.
based off of
And we are gonna state that, right?
yeah.
We're gonna what?
We're gonna
Make
have to
sure
Be
that,
honest about
that these are a guess.
Yeah.
These are a guesstimate, this is not actual numbers.
Correct. So I put in like potential low cost estimates, potential. And I was thinking of putting the word as guesstimate, but I'm not sure how they would like to see the word guesstimate.
No, I think.
So it's fine.
But
But I do
I
have a
think it's
question.
reasonable to
Is-
say estimate, that's
Yeah,
what it is.
Right,
And Derek, these
do we
first
have a
two-
source of where we got these numbers from?
Derek.
I like that.
So
Okay.
literally, yeah.
No, okay, no, that's
Yeah.
okay, I just
Well,
want,
your
people
background
need to,
is
you're
that
right,
Yeah.
people need to know that
Project
Yeah.
management, you're
Yeah,
right, so you-
right.
that's all I'm saying, is
Yeah.
is just make sure
You
probably-
that, so that people are confident that it is a guesstimate, but it's
a realistic.
a real estimate, you know,
Yeah.
a real
And these
estimate
aren't
of
far
what
off
it is.
from what
Exactly.
Dave presented.
Correct.
I mean, this is kind of within the parameters
combination,
of what
Yeah,
Dave.
yeah. So I basically
presented.
took Dave's baseline of what he had, and then kind of built off of just like what my knowledge was about what builds have cost us over the couple years with the different places I've worked.
So it's an informed estimate.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Like I can tell you, one of the places we moved when I was at Boston IVF, one of the places we moved in had to be completely gutted out, and it was $800,000 just to do the build. Where I currently work, we want to do an expansion off the back, a total of 15,000 square feet, and the total estimated cost of that is like 2.5 to 3. So that's and then even before I was at that, when I was at Insulin and stuff, but I don't take those numbers because that's kind of too far back, and with the current days
Right.
we're in now, it's a lot higher. So I took his estimate and bumped it up just due to the fact that I do know that there's going to be additional costs in there, even though those were roundabout numbers, and he said that they could be high, could be low. I think personally they're a little low. And then I bumped that up a little bit more, and then went higher for that cost, and then that just goes down throughout 1 through 4.
What's the fourth, is that the demolition?
Yes, so 4 is demolition. I didn't get to finish that slide before I had to actually start my
And if
real
we
job.
go into
so.
demolition,
Yeah. Without, I'm sorry, Kathy.
has anyone approached anyone to see if they want, cause it's gonna be worth money once it goes into demolition.
Yeah.
People are gonna want those beams.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's mitigates that. I was just gonna say, I do think, again, from a political standpoint, we're presenting to the town council, right?
Yeah.
They charge their own employee, Dave, with doing, after the $3.5 million work was done, this is my understanding, they then went to Dave and said, can you talk to individual contractors that and he then came with that, what he presented to us last week, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important for us to say that we used Dave's
As a
numbers as a
baseline.
baseline.
Yeah,
Oh, I
no,
like
definitely.
that. You're
Because
right,
that's,
yeah.
Definitely.
they charged him to do that, we're
Right,
building
we
off
heard, we
of, we're
heard.
building off
So
of what.
we spent money to get him to go talk to all these contacts?
No, he did it.
No,
Okay.
yeah, good clarification, yeah, no, that was more that just, his position and love of the community.
Yeah, and he just went and talked to people he knows.
Yeah.
Kathy, I'm gonna excuse myself.
Oh, it's 7? Okay,
So,
yep,
Where are you?
We're meeting next week
I guess, after the town council probably,
Yeah, we probably should have a debrief.
before,
before the.
we have one more meeting before the town council meeting.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Oh, we do, yeah, then we
That'd be
should
good,
fight.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So,
All right.
Alright,
good
So
work,
that-
Derek.
No, thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
very
it.
good
job.
I'll make the updates
See you
and
guys next week.
do all that.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks.
I was gonna say, where we don't have slides associated with option 4, why don't you just change 4 to read demolition?
Oh, I was gonna do some. I'm gonna put some slides in too. I was
Oh,
gonna
okay.
see if I could manipulate the photo as they did, with having a picture of the house, and I was actually just gonna use my phone because if you
You could take it out.
you could take it out, so I was just gonna remove it out and show it not being there. But I didn't do that yet, so I'll put that in the slide as well, so we can have it shown as like, hey guys, it's not there, like really show it.
A large parking lot.
Yeah.
That's a very good thing to see.
Yeah, because I know that they were talking about somebody. I think he had his daughter do it or something, or working on it or
Dave was
something.
talking about that.
Yeah. So I was like, I might as well just do the same thing and toss it in here.
Yeah, he was talking about that really artistic picture
Yeah.
With the
That's
sunlight and
right.
everything.
Yeah.
I forgot
and-
about
Yeah.
that,
You
that's
can see
right.
with or without the
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
So you could just reach out to David and see if his daughter
Yeah, see if-
already did it.
Yeah, because if she has it, then I don't have to go take it.
Because then you could put that first picture in too. I mean, these are lovely pictures, but it sounds like that one's pretty
Yeah,
spectacular for
yeah, like
highlighting the beauty of the building.
definitely.
Yeah.
And I'll just go over these last two columns real quick. Again, these are just my sole guesstimates because I know we don't have what like the Lions Hall used to bring in. So potentially reoccurring year cost is going to be anywhere at minimum $10,000 to $15,000 for options 1A and B, and then that's going to slightly tick up because of the additional size. It would be 15 to 20, and then 2 would be 10 to 15. 3 obviously there'd be no cost, and 4 obviously be no cost. 3 because of the fact that you have a renter in there now, so you just write up the contract to where they take all that over from a maintenance perspective as well. And then 4 because it wouldn't be there. And then potential revenue, again, total guesstimates at this current time, 5,000 to 10,000 for options 1A and B, and then C, I did bump it up just due to all of the arts perspective. So I did bump that up to 20,000. For option 2, which was the SAU one, which I know we're going to negate out anyway, but cost would equal out to savings because they're not paying rent anymore. And then 3 is actually 36 to 60.
You so totally underestimated number 2. They pay like $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so they'll
I mean, that would be savings.
that's some serious money.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea of the 36 to 60?
Yeah, so I
what
took-
a restaurant would pay to, or a restaurateur would
Yeah,
pay?
so
So
I took
the
what
restaurant
currently-
couldn't own it. They'd have to
They
rent
rent
it
it.
from the town.
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes me nervous.
Huh.
Is
Finding
that-
somebody.
But this
to do
is,
that.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
actually because I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's a-
So
that's
so
a
that was
number.
based off of
Well, I like we go with the idea, but
I
Yeah.
do, yeah,
yeah,
I know.
and maybe
Huh.
figure out what we can do.
I mean that's kind of like what Derry did with the old train station steakhouse, and they
My
like
goodness, Kathy, you're
that
right,
they
go back
leave
to the 90s.
right?
Does
That's
Derek
how they
still
got.
owns that building?
I don't know if
I
they do.
don't think so, but I don't know.
But I
That's a
remember
good
they leased
point.
it out for $1, and
Yes.
Jeannie and her husband Tim
Yes, who
started
owned the
that.
bagel place in
Right.
town originally.
Yeah.
We're looking for more than $1.
Well,
But they
Yeah,
renovated the
but they
whole
renovated
place,
the whole
which was
thing, did all the
They did all the
renovations,
work,
and they
yeah.
were maintenance and
And it
stuff,
was a
so there's no.
steakhouse, Derek. It was
we're
like
ma-
Buckley's.
actually
That's
making
Oh, really?
so good.
Really?
So we're not paying for anything, so the town's making $1 off it.
Yeah.
Do we have a sense of what you guys used to generate in rental revenue? Any?
I can't give you,
We kept up with the monthly expenses that were absolutely necessary.
Because you
We,
guys are responsible for utilities and.
yeah,
and
we never,
maintenance.
we never ever made a profit on renting the building. We were always a few dollars short. We paid for heat, light, electricity, insurance, all of the normal bills and Dave brought this up a while ago. He said, we're experiencing costs now with the building that we didn't have before because the Lions had it. I can't give you a figure though.
And then to your question with the 36 to 60, that was the low is based off of a $3,000 a month rental, and then $5,000
Yeah.
dollars a month for rental, which is from what I've heard is kind of the typical from a space perspective in town,
Okay.
rental wise. Some of them actually go higher, but I figured I'd keep it a little lower because it is a town building.
And they're limited on what they can do. If you rent a space at the Apple Tree Mall,
Exactly,
you do have
you can do
some,
whatever you
pay
want.
You pay per square feet, but then you can actually.
Exactly.
Renovate it the way you
Yeah.
want.
Exactly.
So-
And I and you know, personally, my I wouldn't mind it only because it would give us a place over here to eat. But I'm open either way because I as long as we keep it, I don't care.
You know, it's
Um,
funny, I went from completely against the idea to now I'm kind of like, wow, a place, the parking would be great. I can imagine the vault, like you could have special, I know, it just might, but
Yeah.
it's not what I thought, but wow, it's a
Yeah.
thought.
Well, I went
you know?
into
We
the,
don't have anything.
I went
We
into
don't,
this,
right.
I went into this, and I know like everybody who's ever watching won't be able to see it if anybody watches this. But I went into like a couple old spaces when I was in Alaska, and one of them is called the, because when I first read it, I was like, yeah, how would that really be like? But then I was thinking about Coach Stop and everything like that. And then when we went to Alaska, I was like, they have this old, it's called the Red Dog Saloon, and they kept the inside like the exact same as it used to be.
Oh my
I know probably everybody
gosh.
can't see it.
Yeah, the
But-
wooden beams and everything.
Yeah.
But
Can
the-
you pass it around?
Yeah, definitely. And I do want to show this one too. I'd like everybody to see this one first. One of the coolest things that I thought that I saw was it was a restaurant bar opened up, and they actually exposed some of the old wood beams, and in the waiting area had some of the old original tiles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And in this we could pass that around too. That was in the waiting area, and I was like, wow, that is actually a really neat idea.
Well, if that's what if we do go to the restaurant eventually, they're gonna wanna gut
Oh,
everything and
right.
expose everything they can,
Yeah.
because that's for the ambience.
Well, and that
So-
ceiling,
Wait,
if you could,
I gotta put my
Well,
glasses on.
Frank told me the ceiling's a drop ceiling and they think it just touches the floor. They don't know what's above the drop ceiling and the.
Yeah,
What?
because he's
aren't there pictures of like a really cool ceiling?
there is so there's.
Oh,
a
yeah,
drop
that's
ceiling.
in, that, the
The
metal
is it?
ceilings
like
in the
that,
old,
yeah. Lines?
vault,
Yeah, the
in the,
vault, right.
in the
yeah.
vault room,
Beautiful.
Mhm.
That's an interesting
the old,
thought.
whatever it is called
Vault.
today, so.
So you, excuse me.
Yes,
can I say
yeah.
something?
Well, it's not timber frame, it's,
If
metal.
you're talking
Oh,
about,
old metal.
Here,
there
here's
being
the-
some kind of
It's a tin,
Oh.
tin,
a eating
that's.
restaurant facility, I'm assuming they would pay the fire insurance, right?
they would have
Mhm.
to pay everything,
Yeah, the
right?
restaurant would
'Cause-
take it on.
yeah.
Do it all, actually.
yeah, it's all dependent on how the town writes up the lease agreement.
Proposal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because, I
There'd
mean, if
have to
there's
be a
gonna be,
signed
gonna
contract.
be stoves in there, hoods,
Exactly.
all of that, I mean, and obviously the fire insurance would be a hell of a lot higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know,
In-
there's that
in
church
historic
too,
building,
heading
yeah.
toward over in Greenland, or something. It was a church they actually converted to a
Into a
Yes.
restaurant, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes. The Holy Grail.
The whole.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a nice job
And
too.
there's a place
Interesting.
up in, I don't know where it is, I think it's up in that area too, where they took over an old barn and the silo too, and they have,
Oh, the barn in Pemmicoasset,
and you can eat, you go in the
Nice.
silo. You
yeah.
can
Cool.
sit in the silo
Yes,
and
you're right. I
everything
think it's a
too.
group
That's
of women
cool.
that started that one. Oh, you've expanded our thoughts on it.
I
That's,
know.
for sure.
Well, when I first saw it on the on like that message board, I was like, I don't know. But then my wife said something. She's like, think about it. Like, actually think about it for a second, Barry. And then I thought, and I was like, oh yeah, it's just like the Coach Stop. It's just like
Really
Buckley's. It's just
is.
like, and I was like, it
But
just
it's
never
so-
popped into my mind.
Because it is kind of what John was
Common
saying
man.
about.
Yeah,
Common
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 man.
man's.
That like with we've been exposed to so many people in the last couple months for so many events in town, and nobody is really questioning that beautiful building. Like
Yeah.
why we weren't in it for the senior barbecue to use the restrooms even, or during Old Home Day, or it's interesting. And then
Yeah.
also the Grange right next door is similar things. They're doing what they can to hold on by a string. God bless them. A group of maybe 8 of them.
Right,
But it's really thinking outside of the box.
Yeah, and if you can get somebody to,
yeah, but the
Kitchen
Grange
addition.
can't do a restaurant,
No, but
because they're temperance.
Yeah. You're right.
So there's no drinking in the Grange.
Yeah, interesting
I got
thought.
here late, obviously, but, I thought I heard something about a change in the charter. So,
No, we're not talking about any charter change.
oh no,
That wasn't us at all.
The-
You
the-
might be watching another meeting.
Well, there was,
No,
no, we
what
don't
he's
discuss
referring to
potential
was when
extension.
Chad came,
Yeah, but that's not a change in the, well, that's a
Well,
change.
he removed
Oh, the charter of the
the
building.
items that dealt with investigating how, the types of restoration that we will be doing.
Right, and then the only other change of the charter is if they wanna extend the committee. I mean,
That's what we talked
Yeah.
Oh,
right,
that-
that
If it would go
would be
beyond,
the only
so
thing.
It was the
right?
idea-
Oh, the
Change-
yeah, the idea
Right,
was the
right,
original
right.
charge
After the
was made.
presentation at the,
To keep us
Yeah.
going.
Was
town
there not
council,
something
to see,
about,
the charge to
what-
see if we
what
wanted
would
to
be-
extend it.
as far as repairs with the building?
So
No,
he
we
did.
haven't
So
done that.
the only other thing he said was, let's make sure that we focus on the fact of what it's going to take to get it open for phase one, and then focus on
Build on.
phase two.
So the bottom line, there was no change in the charter?
Nope.
Correct.
No.
There was no
No,
change in the
No
charter.
change.
I think if we stick to
All
this,
the
we
same.
finally have a format,
Right,
and now our presentation's just a couple weeks away, and then build on this, and then we're leaving it in their hands.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
I think they'd keep us going, honestly,
Yeah.
if
but-
we asked, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But the problem is, there's a big date out there that nobody's remembering, which is November 1. And if we don't get something done by November 1, we're not even gonna be discussed at budget
Right.
season, so you're extending this another whole year.
Yeah.
You're adding,
effectively a
yeah.
year and a half, and
Right.
the way that,
Right.
you know.
The way the
I do
fiscal
feel
year
that we
works.
had a change, I've got to speak up here. We were originally looking at what might be done to stabilize the floor, for example. There
Right.
was discussion whether we should use some of the beams, get some of the beams back from the Historical Society,
Well, I
put
think
those
that,
back in, or whether we should be using floor and fill,
right,
that kind of thing.
right, I think I guess my concern is, we know the building's structurally sound, so all this can be done.
That's the $24,000 question.
That's just
Yeah.
they said that their
Who's
engineers.
they?
What's their
Dave.
name? But
But,
That group.
yeah, that
Wow.
group.
The group that came in initially and did the.
They
Oh,
said,
the
so they
wall-
said
the
the sills are all good, we
Yeah,
don't have
first
to
Oh, no,
repair,
no,
we
so
don't
they-
have to do any of that?
Oh, no, that is all part of what would be phase one.
Yeah.
Like in getting the floor stable and.
They said what's
they're
above,
like-
what's
yeah.
above,
The
You'd have to-
foundation.
it-
what's
yeah,
above the foundation, they said is structurally sound.
Yeah, but the foundation would have to be addressed.
I think the
Okay, so
question
then that's
Samson,
the first phase.
It
Yeah.
really, that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, all this other stuff can come in, but that's the first phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting
That's
it
fine.
so that we can get to the first one.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
that's my thought is.
yeah.
And I think that's why we really need to get someone in there who's a structural engineer to look at it, that can get in there and look at those sills. And as much as I know the town doesn't wanna cooperate with us at this point, nobody's in there and nobody can use it. And if the only way we can find out if those sills are good is by putting little holes in the floor, then I just don't understand the argument of why they won't allow that.
Right.
Because we're talking big money if we can't do something as simple as that.
You're talking about
Absolutely.
spending a little money.
Absolutely.
to
Yeah, is
change
there-
it, so that-
And if we're not allowing it to the public and we're not using it, then justifying take a floor that's gonna be ripped out anyways, no matter where our decision is, to be opened up with little holes to make sure that a flashlight and somebody can look in there and see sills where there's crawl space and say, everything's good, then we move on.
Yeah, I think that should be in our presentation, like the most basic thing we need to address first is that.
Yeah. So I'll put that as
Like, cause,
one.
and that, how much money that might be in it, just to have that inspection, that
Right,
evaluation done.
and I just don't understand the argument of why the town is so dead set against doing that when the floor is gonna get ripped out anyways. It has to. There's no way we can use the building without the floor being ripped out.
and we're talking about spending taxpayer money, let's do it right, let's get an expert in there, a structural engineer, to determine what it is. With all due respect to Weston Sampson,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
put an opinion in there.
That's
And
what it seemed like.
That was
And
only
all
an
due-
opinion.
That's
And
what it
all due
seemed like,
respect to the town, nobody's under there. Nobody's gone under there to see. Bob Slater is the only human being that went under there, and Bob couldn't see.
Yeah.
And Bob's going on guesses.
Do we have
We
an
have
estimate
to
of
get
how
a
much that
structural
would cost,
engineer.
that structural engineer?
We never went for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think that's the first thing we
Yeah.
have to ask then, because all the other things, electrical and all, if it's incredible and if it's safe, then wow.
And
that's-
if the worst
but-
thing is we only have to replace 5 sills
Right,
or 10 sills because they just jack the building up or whatever they do, I don't know how they do it, I'm not a but they know what they're doing. They replace those sills and we know that that foundation's solid,
right, Cause then we can think of all these.
Yeah,
options.
wasn't
we
there somebody
recommend-
from the town, I mean, I'm sorry, what?
I would like to see a caveat on that it isn't just any structural engineer. It's someone that has worked on historic buildings like this and knows what the problems might be and knows what to look for.
And I think, to David's point,
two
if
people
we
together.
incorporate structural engineers with a history in town, LCHIP and other grants are gonna look at us more seriously because we're picking up people that know what they're doing.
So
There you
maybe
go.
by the next meeting, we need to have three to five names of structural engineers. And couldn't we just call them and get like, what's an
Well,
estimate, a guesstimate?
Some of them are gonna charge us.
Right.
That's okay.
Let's find
That's
out
okay.
what that costs.
And I think the town.
Well,
would
I'm
like that.
thinking most of your estimates come in, or what do you think,
I was
2,000 on something like that? Lou?
At minimum, yeah.
But the
Yeah.
problem is, the estimate's gonna get higher and higher and higher if they have to come in with all kinds of equipment because the town is not willing to work with letting us put some holes in the floor to see what's going on.
No,
under it.
I didn't get the impression the town wouldn't allow it. I think we have to present it to the council and say it could be up to $5,000. We're
Yeah.
not sure, minimum of 2, up to 5,000. These are the names that
Well,
we
I
have.
wouldn't even wanna
Can we
say a
move?
number.
Well, I think,
I
but
would,
it's,
because
we're talking,
I would say the estimate is dependent on what our access is to the building.
Yeah.
but would we be recommending to the town council that happen, and ideally sooner rather than later, right?
Yeah.
And for
That's the
example, but
first
we're not
step.
talking about taking that to the warrant article, we're talking about.
No,
No,
right.
Could the,
No,
could
no,
the
there's,
maintenance trust
there's
fund,
fund,
you know,
there's
so-
funds, and the council
Yeah,
has
we-
given us authority before,
Right.
that there are funds for
Right.
doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely the first step, because what happens if we come in and we find out that building, that those sills are all rotted?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we
I think-
I don't think they are personally.
I don't
I think
either.
they're in,
Right.
I think we're probably gonna get a better blessing than we think out of it.
Yeah.
Because of the people I've worked with that are very familiar with timber frames and the historic, I mean, the roof line is
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah.
It's not sagging. So I think we're gonna, see that. So then that takes out, okay, we got the foundation done, all we probably need is drainage at that point.
I think what we need to do at the council meeting, like, this is phenomenal, and this is a wow factor, like, this is a culmination of everything we've done, but I think we also have to give them an action item.
Yeah.
The first thing we need is we need to do this evaluation of the floor, and, Mike has already said, to the best of his ability, that there's money available. We don't know what it is or how much, but this is the action item. We need you to support this. How much do you think it's gonna come in at?
And
Minimum,
the other
yeah.
action item is we need the support of the town to be able to get in there.
Right, but that would be
And,
But it's
part of
all
it.
and,
connected.
Yeah,
and,
that's
and
part of
not add undue cost of
Right,
us having to come in with 3D,
yeah,
Imaging.
right,
imaging to
Yeah.
try to get to the
Right.
basics.
yeah,
That small holes cut along the sides of
right, yeah.
the floor that could be covered up with plywood, I mean, and say more damage to the building, well, if we don't do anything, it's gone.
No, and I think we have the town support on that, like, based on Dave's presentation, everyone wants the same end product, but we just have to get there, so we just need to give them a simple action item.
I can do that.
What's the first thing we need to do? Boom, it's this,
So
it might be this to this.
then the
Yeah.
action item is, my opinion, we have access to, can we have access to look into the floor,
Yeah.
is the first.
Okay.
And secondly, can we get a structural engineer, and here's a list of approved, that the committee, I mean, I don't know if we do it or they do it, I don't care, but we want an historic structural engineer, and, we only have 2 weeks to get that information to them to get pricing.
And I think in the meanwhile, we can, on our own, do a little homework, find out who that we think are structural engineers,
Right, I think,
okay?
yeah. at least-
And make a couple of phone calls and just
I
say,
agree.
for instance, give
How much
us
would
some
you
kind of
charge?
ballpark.
Park, how much you would do to do an
Yeah.
estimation?
You know,
Yeah.
Here's my ask. Did you ever get all the files? From,
Well, not
from
yet,
Steve?
not yet, but I believe that we can. I sent the email, I know
I
that
think
they-
that's absolute high
Yeah.
priority, because
Yeah.
I would like to have a thumb drive to send to every single, of all the work we did, how many years ago?
Yeah.
You know, but if Steve Cotton has this.
He said it should be in his records.
Right, in
still.
his records,
Right.
pictures of the town hall, then I think the whole committee should have access to them. So I don't know if they
Oh,
can put up,
no.
and I even think the town should have access to them, I don't care, and they could put them right up on our webpage and we could download whatever we needed.
Yeah, I didn't revisit it again, I only sent the one email, but we'll, again, but I think if we just stay focused on 15 minutes, this is what we need, and then all of this history and all is gonna, not that history, but Steve's history will come into play, but I do agree with Ray.
Yeah.
But in this room, not me, but like between, you know, those of you who've been involved with historical buildings, let's get the names of 5 different potential people that could come in, it's a quick phone call, that people know the Lions Hall, or they can look it up online in 2 seconds.
Exactly.
And give us a guesstimate,
And
how
by-
much do you think we're talking?
Yeah, and by the way, the building department has files on the previous work, pictures, all of that is available to anyone here, okay? And so, that's not the whole story, but at least, you know, you can visually look at what was there, and by the way, that was done by an engineering group out of Stratham, New Hampshire, okay? They made some very good recommendations,
Did we
but
follow
they
them?
aren't necessarily followed, okay? So, which is unfortunate. That's water under the bridge, over the dam, we can't go back. But we can see what was done, okay? And the whole thing about the sills, absolutely. Even if we gotta take off a couple of clapboards on the
I don't
outside,
think there's any problem
No, there's
with
no
that.
way you can get to the sills on the
do
clapboard
the job.
because of the granite, they're on, they sit
sit on top of the granite.
Right.
they said,
I don't think we could get to them from the outside.
well, okay, we'll check with a structural engineer.
Well, I
I'm sure
know
it
when
gets
they
on.
did my barn and everything in my house, you couldn't get from the
So I
outside, you
think
had
that
to
for
do
the
it
next
from
meeting,
the interior.
yeah, so Ray Stratum, you mentioned that there's an engineering firm, so we should reach out to them, and maybe a few others, I mean,
It's
not-
Emmanuel Engineering.
Emmanuel?
Emmanuel Engineering, they did the initial engineering to replace the floor.
Are they in
Unfortunately,
business?
another company did the work, and as far as I'm concerned, look, I'm not an expert on this, it wasn't done properly.
No.
So are there
They
structural
ignored the engineering.
Yeah, there
Yes.
are people that in New Hampshire that do that, I know a
I know,
woman
but what I was gonna
that
ask is.
did the Franklin campus for the vets, she was involved with that. She was up there to do it. There's a lot of things we don't know too. She said there's a lot of cuts that we can go, we don't have to follow all these rules because it's a historic preservation building, so they're much less,
Not strict.
diligent and give you ways out because they don't want the building damaged.
Can we get
to
that
get them,
person's
but,
name?
I have her name,
Yeah,
and,
maybe,
and we can call her and stuff, and,
What's the
you
name
know,
of the
find out what she
company
would
that
cost to come, but she's a
had
forensic,
What?
What's the
She
name of
does
the
it
company that
forensically.
had
Well, and
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say, is if
They
we
did
have
these
people with
paragraphs.
expertise in structural engineering,
That's Jim.
specifically
Yeah, Jim, but I don't.
historical
Yeah.
preservation kind of stuff,
Sure.
that's
She gave me
different
the
than
name and I
someone who
forgot
just has
it.
expertise in
I'm
structural
not gonna
engineering.
remember her name.
well, no,
No.
this is a post and
Dan
beam,
can
it's a
tell you.
totally I mean, this is not a post and beam, this is oh my god, why am I losing my brain here, it's not a post and beam because there's no steel involved, it's all hand hewn.
Stick.
It's, Ray, what's the word I'm looking for?
Wait,
Timber frame, it's a timber frame, it's a timber
She
frame.
said your name and it helped, timber frame.
Yes, this is all timber framing, if you go in there and look at that building, there's no steel in it, it's all pegs and,
Fascinating. So how should we accomplish this by next Thursday then? Ray, maybe if you can reach out to the group in
I'll try
Stratham,
reaching out to the
your woman.
lady again,
Can
Yeah.
you take the Stratum one?
and
And
give her a
um,
call, see, I keep missing her, but,
anyone else have any possible contacts?
I am not for historical buildings.
How about just an
Sorry.
over, just someone that would be good?
we could
eyes
contact
on it?
David
Yeah.
Grafton, who is an expert on covered bridges. Now, that's a little different, but it is timber frame,
Yeah,
and he is an absolute
It's a
expert.
barn without 2 walls.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a good idea.
What was his name, Ray?
David Grafton.
Yeah.
And
You
you need a
wanna
good
take him
foundation.
too, or you wanna
That's how
hand
it's
him
done.
over?
I'll contact him.
Yeah,
And then kind of if you can even touch bases with us a little bit before the meeting, if you get lucky.
yeah, and
But related.
team engineering
Okay,
over in
so
Goffstown,
we'll
but
try
they
to go
don't,
quick, 'cause it's
I don't
getting
know
late.
if they do historical, but
Let's
if we're
next-
talking like,
Yeah, but
I
I
just
think,
don't
yeah.
know.
But
I've worked with them.
I don't
I've
have,
tried-
you know what, I don't
It's
have
very
a
important
problem
to
with
be
a
historical.
structural engineer.
I agree, that's
Expert.
what I'm thinking too, like just, you know, cause they,
If
they
we're
deal
in
with
contact
so
with them and
much,
ask
you know, and if we
the
just
name of
need
the
to get some
company
We almost
opinions.
need
the
a
Yeah,
project
the
to
toll,
be
East
the
Area
tariff, yeah.
but
Yeah.
somebody that
Terry.
does it for the historic buildings.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Because
team
I really
engineering
think,
would have-
as much as I love this, without, I mean, I'm not gonna sit and watch it, I'm not gonna manage it, so
Yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah,
need a
you're right.
project
Because the
manager.
bandwidth right to do it. But I think
No,
if
no,
we
no.
bring an
At least you
idea
can
to
pay
the
them a
council, something
consulting fee
concrete
to
that
come
they
in
can
and
grab
tell you what
onto,
to
cause
do.
this is beautiful, but now this is the first thing we need, and we need you to buy in on the money, and I think we could get that, a vote right then that night to move forward with it.
Yeah.
You know, cause we're not asking for the moon, and I do believe they wanna support it, like Mike's on our, you know, not on any side with it, but that's why we're here, because the council, we all love the building, and we want it to have value to the town. So, alright, I think that's really good for them, but just if we can come back and even if we can get 2 or 3 of these.
Yeah, just something
Yeah,
to
just
go in
some
front of the town.
ideas.
And we get a ballpark idea as far as costs.
Yeah, yeah.
want, you know,
They're gonna say it could be anywhere between 2,000 and 10,000.
Yeah,
Right, we
That's
bring
better
it to
than what we
them
know
and
right
say,
now.
Yeah.
are you ready, right, exactly,
Yeah.
maybe you'll buy into 10,000, or maybe you'll get lucky and it's 3, but we gotta give them something solid, I
Yeah.
think, too.
and then after that, I would say then that's when we start really
Honing
in on these ideas,
yeah.
and then we would then need some additional funds to hire a designer. And I'm not saying a designer as in, you know, curtains and things, and like an actual designer. So then that way we can give them, because all the numbers, I know I don't have it, all the numbers that were given to us last week, right? Those are all just very wide range numbers, because you don't have actually somebody come in to say, you know, this is going to be our design for now, right? So we just need new bath, new toilets, new sinks, this flooring, blah blah blah. We just
And
go
that's
over
what a
that.
general that's why I have
Exactly.
kept pushing for a general contractor from day one, because they'll come in, assess for us, and they'll give us a phase.
Yeah.
We don't even have to come up with the
And
phase.
that's what we're gonna need,
That-
because we
that-
don't have.
all
the
we have to
bandwidth
come
go
up with
there.
is
Exactly.
the options of what the use could be after the phase.
Right.
Yeah. And I have that Eric. I think I brought it up last week. Eric Nickerson that I could call. I'm good friends with him, and he's the one who does all the dairy medical centers, and he's actually the one that did the Boston IVF over in
Bedford.
Bedford. So
I mean, I don't have any problem with him coming in, even though he's not historic, because
Yeah.
he's gonna give he's gonna look at it and give the perspective of true construction costs
Exactly.
in
We need
today's
that.
world.
We really
Exactly.
need that, right, yeah. Could
Exactly.
you reach out to him then?
yeah.
Derek,
yeah,
so you
yeah.
talk to, and get an idea of what a general, if we were to bring him on board, you know,
There's
his minimum.
I don't know, the school would know that, because they've brought general contractors in to get, that's how they come up with the plans for the the kindergarten and everything.
Maybe Bob Slater would even have another name, but if
He
you could
did,
reach
he
out to
said that
him.
he would Bob would provide the name of the company out of Bedford that the school district's using. And
That'd be
so,
awesome.
so I would, and where the school is using them, maybe they would come in at a reasonable rate, because they're already
Involved with
working
the
with the
town.
school, with the town.
All right,
So I would call Bob and ask him what the name of the company is,
okay.
and, reach out.
I'm gonna do my best to put it on my list and do that, and you'll reach out to Eric Nickerson, and
Yeah,
then we'll
and I'll
have a
reach out
couple
to one
people.
other.
And
that
I'll
we're
reach
using
out
right
to the
now.
woman I've been
She
trying to
sounds
get.
dynamic, I'm not sure
Yeah.
why, but she intrigues, I think there's
Yeah.
some real education and knowledge there,
the,
so.
the other thing is, we do need to follow up and check on grant money,
Yeah.
Oh,
okay?
that's huge.
Well,
Because-
what I've heard is there's not a lot of grant money for building, so to say, but there is a lot of money in the, if we have to go and redo the bathrooms to make them ADA compliant, that's where we get the grants.
Okay.
That's where all the
And
grants are.
Kirsten can help us with that too,
Right.
she
Okay.
jumped in with
That's what
that.
I've heard,
Okay.
if we're trying to upgrade the building to electrical so it's more efficient, There's
Yes.
more grants out there for that than there is
HVAC, same way.
Right,
Energy-
right.
Energy efficiency.
right. There's more grants that way than there is to say, oh, I'm gonna try to preserve a historic building.
Exactly.
We've got a lot more potential for grants in that area than,
By the way, I did go to Salem, okay? And they have the old town hall that in East Salem, that they, use as, for part of the historical, but they're doing restoration on it, okay? So they started a fund, right, and they raised from personal donations, $350,000.
Gosh, imagine, right?
They had
It's
a
out there.
thermometer there,
It
they
is
met
out
it,
there,
okay?
right.
They also got 46,000 from one of the state grants, okay? And that was, I believe, to redo the windows,
Yeah, yeah,
okay?
yeah.
but
But
see,
they
that's
raised the
energy
350,000 just with people donating, or
Yeah.
companies donating.
Yeah.
Right.
We need to do the same thing.
Yeah.
We do.
I think if we could somehow get, like I was saying, like all the sports teams at the school, we use that app.
Yes, right.
If, but obviously we can't do that. But we could do a GoFundMe for this,
You
right?
never know who might donate
Right,
to
and
that.
what if we-
Right, around the country. you
Yeah,
know.
and you could even put it out here in the Londonderry Times with just the QR code to go to the GoFundMe page. You never know who would
You
start.
never know.
And the
Right.
benefit of that, if you get the citizens involved, right?
Right.
And they think it's important enough that they want to donate $10 or whatever,
Be a part
and
of it.
they see that thermometer out there, and oh, where are we? Oh,
I
okay.
love that,
And,
yeah.
and then you can tell
Yeah.
the story of the history too, all
Yeah.
of that. You get people involved.
Exactly.
Could
Well,
have a
and then
meeting
also
at the
when you
library.
go for phase two, when you put it on the warrant article, they're all invested. already.
Yes, there you go, which
Yes.
is what you've been saying.
There you go,
Right.
there you go, okay?
But you know what,
Because they're
Derek,
voters
maybe
also.
you could add a last page, community involvement, and mention the thermometer and the GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Cause I think that was another part that I completely forgotten about, is that the council also wanted us to kind of show how the community's gonna buy into, which is what you've been saying. But I think like the GoFundMe is a good idea. All these other, the thermometer out front would bring such a community, the Boy Scouts, the Rotary, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that should be our last, like the council maybe is the first and then add everything else in.
Yeah, and then we can, like you were saying too, we go to
Yeah.
businesses and get
Oh,
funding
yeah.
from them, and
Yeah,
So, all right, we got a good discussion here going, I think we've got a good plan, we've got a meeting coming at 7:30. I'm trying to close out quick. Does anyone else have anything to add?
I do. It'll take a couple minutes, but,
Okay.
especially, and I think this will dovetail well with what we're talking about as far as phasing and asking for money, because John made a good case tonight for a lack of appetite on the part of the council and perhaps the town to spend a lot of money in fiscal year 26, which is what we're going into that budget season right now. I respect that. I did meet with Justin Campo this week and wanted to get an idea of money that's coming off the books over the next several years. Bonds that are sunsetting, and if you just let those go, then expenses actually go down for the town, right? But the smart way to manage that money is to then have the next bond that fills that gap, right?
Yeah.
And then also potential new revenues that are coming in the sort of short term. So this is what we have. The bond we discussed before did sunset, the town hall, open space one and everything in June. And Justin was excited that was going to be $700,000 all of a sudden, but that's being eaten up by insurance costs, which is a lot of what John, I think, was talking about. So, what we do have, nothing sunsets next June, but then over the next few fiscal years, and that is the next the budget season they're going into is the 25-26 budget season, right?
It will be, no,
It's the one that
It's-
starts in July
no, it'll be
25.
25 to 26,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's effectively,
July 5.
and so there is another couple $100,000 from it's an exit 4A one that was bonded several years ago, a 10-year bond that's coming off the books. Then and then another couple $100,000 comes off the following year, which is a refunding bond thing. You know, and then there are some other ones that are gonna keep going for several years, and so that those don't change. You know, the other 4A, exit 4A things and stuff like that. But my point is, in the 26, 27, and beyond fiscal years, there are a total of about $400,000 or so coming off the books. So that's just something I think that it's important for us to know, that if we were looking to do a bond kind of thing, that I think is something that you could sell to perhaps the town council, but could also sell to the public, to say, listen, we're not looking for more money than what you're currently paying. We're looking to take, you know, we've paid off some things, and that's how we think. We paid it off, like we paid off the mortgage, right? And so now, you know, let's do that. We also have some new revenues that are going to be coming in. The first one's from New Balance. Okay, and that's not technically taxes, it's a payment in lieu of taxes, or whatever that they have. So that's gonna start coming in next year. Tesla is gonna be a major revenue source. They've already bought the property, they haven't developed it yet.
And they won't pay a cent of tax until April of next year if they don't put a shovel in the ground.
Oh, I know, but that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about April of next year, we're talking about a fiscal year that doesn't even start until July of next year.
No, building people don't, if, whatever they have on the thing, that's all they get charged for is in April, and that's every year. So they could have the whole building up May 1st of 2005, and they don't get charged taxes until the following year.
I know, and this is what I'm saying, this is over the next several years.
And
These are
that's why we'll
revenues,
ask them to donate to.
these are
our
revenues that we
River
don't
Morrison
have
House.
now that
Yeah.
we will be having.
What's the building
Right.
that's already going up, right next
That's-
to New Balance? What was that one?
I think, I don't know who that one is.
I'm not sure who that is.
So I was gonna say that
But-
could be.
Yeah.
I thought that was
Can I,
Fiscal.
can,
I thought that
I
was
don't
Fiscal
mean
as well.
to, I don't mean
Oh, I'm
to
almost
steal
done.
your thunder,
I'm almost done.
okay.
Okay, and there are other things in that airport.
Yeah.
There's still undeveloped properties in Pettingill. And then of course there's Woodmont, right? So the Baldwin is now built out, and is a tax positive for the community right now, especially because 95% of the residents are in the independent living, not in the, because the people in the assisted living and nursing home will require more services from the town.
We mean from the town.
The
Fi-
police
fire,
are,
yeah, police and fire and everything. And so the point is, when we're talking about sort of, you know, selling this to the town council, selling this to the public, we want to recognize that, you know, we're not just, you know, trying to reach into the pocket of every single taxpayer. We do have money that's coming off the books, and then we have some new revenues that are going to come in over the next several years. And the question to everyone is, how are we going to spend those, right? And the cynical thing would be just to, you know, say, well, just lower everybody's taxes, but that's so short-sighted.
Well, I know that, but I'm gonna tell you a really quick story, and I don't wanna knock your thunder out, because everything you're saying is a really good idea. There was a thing called the auditorium that was trying to get built.
It's very, very poorly marketed.
Not only was it poorly marketed, that argument was the use, and it failed miserably. That bonds were falling out, and it wasn't going to affect our tax rate at all, and it still fell.
Yeah,
And
10
it still
years ago,
failed.
and it was.
No, that was the most recent one, which was not 10 years ago, it was probably,
Not long ago.
yeah, it's probably
It's been
5.
up about 3 or 4
Or
times,
even,
that
yeah,
thing.
so,
COVID shortened their memory. It was at least 8 years ago.
well, I guess I got COVID, so
Yeah.
we better close the meeting.
But my point, Kathy, is that if we are always cynical and say that taxpayers will never pay for anything, then we will never get anything, including this.
Okay,
This
but
will-
I just want
We'll
you to
get option
understand,
number 4.
there's
But these-
history,
these
there's
are-
history, there's
This
history.
isn't our decision as far as that goes.
Their
I know.
last page, community love,
You know?
like, you know, something to really
Yeah.
dazzle
All right,
them.
so I think
Okay,
we've
yeah, yeah,
hit
yeah,
everything,
the
right?
moment.
Does anybody have
I
any?
was asked last week,
No.
about the
Looks
beams
around at the phenomenon.
that went to the Historical Society.
Great
Oh, the
idea.
beams are over with, David, nobody cares. They've been solved, they stay with the Historic Society, we're not talking about the beams. The beams have
I
all
was
been
asked
solved.
last week if they could come back.
Well, I think that's for a new
The
a new
answer,
team.
the answer is that
I think that's for a new committee discussion.
I'm sorry?
I think that's for a new committee discussion at that point.
Can we just let David finish his?
I talked to the nice woman at the Historic Society, and she said that she's welcome to get the beams back because it's restoring a building.
A letter is going to be presented at the Historical Society next time we meet to discuss whether and how they be sent back. My understanding is that they will be allowed to be sent back provided that they are used in the way that they were before they were taken away. Now, there is a problem with that,
If
that
they're
when
not-
Dave Wally was here, if you put flowable fill in there, he's going to take out the beams that are already there, so the whole issue is likely to be moot.
Right, and that's why I was saying, we can't, and who knows if the beams have been cut up, if they were even feasible to, because we don't know what the contractor that did the floor that went out of business, what he did to
Well,
them,
we're-
so.
So my
Somebody
question
probably should go
to-
down and take a look at them.
Yeah, my question to the Historical Society would be, if that's not possible,
If what's not possible.
to have them be used as floor beams.
If it's not possible
Then-
for them to be used, the Historical Society will keep them.
Well,
Right,
so what I'm
and
wondering
Derek also made
is,
the
would they be
suggestion
willing
for,
to return
Yeah,
them, to be
using
used for
them
another
in-
purpose?
Like decorative.
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
right,
stuff.
that's what Derek made the
Yeah, that
suggestion,
was-
like
Yeah.
4 meetings ago, that if we got them back,
Kind of beautiful.
reuse them
Highlight
just so
them.
that the
Yeah.
beams would show
Yeah.
throughout the building.
Yeah,
And they're unwilling to do that.
so everyone has a little bit of
Pardon?
homework.
They're not willing
Yeah,
for that.
Only if they're going to be put back to hold the floor.
Okay.
Then it's a mute point. All right, so we good, Frank?
Yeah, pretty much, except, you know, I don't know, we're talking about a lot of things and pushing things around, and we've got a date coming up,
2 weeks.
yeah, a week from Monday.
This coming.
And we've got a great plan.
That's right,
Yep.
I think
And
we got
and
more
this-
of a plan than we've had,
absolutely.
so I think
Abs-
Derek kind of knows the direction he wants us to go.
Yeah.
Everybody knows their assignment, their action items is to try to get the structural, and, I personally don't think we need to get into anything more than getting this first presentation
Yeah.
on the floor.
Absolutely,
Right, yeah.
Because if we
absolutely.
start going into the dirty details,
Never, yeah.
No,
right.
I guess
we're
what
never gonna
what I
go
was,
anywhere.
what I was getting at is, yes, we have a meeting with the town council on the 23rd. Our meeting is on the 19th.
right, so we've gotta have this honed.
We've gotta have it home and Derek ready to go.
Yep, yeah, gotcha.
I mean, we can't get into all this other,
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
This presentation's on the 23rd?
Correct.
Okay.
all right, so
I gotta
we
look
have
up my calendar
approval of
when
the
I get home, I
minutes.
gotta go to this coming Monday.
The
We have
initial
approval of the
presentation.
minutes. Did everybody read the minutes? Did everybody see the minutes?
I
I
did.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
Is everybody comfortable with the minutes?
Yes.
There.
All those in do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Sherry?
And we need a
So we
second.
need a second. Derek? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. And,
No,
do I
it-
need a
for-
motion for adjournment?
Actually, I'm sorry, Kathy, just for a point of clarification, we actually never approved the minutes from the previous meeting because we didn't have them at the last meeting, so we probably need to.
Are those available too? Did everybody read through those?
I read those.
And, okay, so
I'll
then I'll
make
take
the
a
motion
motion for the September 5th meeting.
I'll
Um,
make the motion.
okay, Sherry makes the
John
motion to
does a
approve the
great job.
September 5th,
Yeah, and Derek will second
I
it.
second.
and Derek
No,
second.
it's the August
Wait a minute,
29th
who,
one.
August 29th, okay, the August
who made
29th.
the motion? Forgive me.
Okay, the August 29th meeting, do we
Yeah,
have?
I'll make a
the
motion.
minute? Okay, Sherry made the actual date, John, is August 29th.
Okay, I know I'm being a stickler, Kathy.
No, I don't care, I
We
want
don't-
it perfectly right
We
at
don't
this
have
point.
the minutes.
I read his minutes.
Yeah.
So the minutes never got posted on August 29th.
It's
But
still,
John
it's
did
still
them.
just the agenda.
Oh, it didn't get
There's,
posted.
there is one, I don't know, I don't remember the date, but there is one that we don't have the minutes posted.
It
the
was,
29th.
it was that week, so I read
John
his
shares
minutes.
the,
Yeah, so
So
I,
John, just send them to Cameron and have him post them,
or maybe send them out to us and we can,
and, no, we'll just approve
Okay,
them at our
we
next
did
meeting
this,
next
we
week.
did this once already. Why they didn't get posted, he said something about a 5-day
Yeah, that's
lapse
what they
time in it.
but you did get them to them within 5 days, just barely,
Yeah.
but it was still within 5 days.
We're talking about September 5th and August
yes,
29th.
okay.
Okay,
It's the 29th,
Do you
the
want me
September
to-
5th ones are
Do
posted.
you want me to take the, oh, well, that may not be good. Do you have them, John, that you could send, no, but do you wanna send them to Kim, like email
I'll send them to Cameron again.
Okay,
Yeah,
and you know
send
what,
them and
also
just ask
Cameron
them.
and Kirsten, both of them would be good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think if you copy Kirsten on it,
Yeah.
it'll be
And are we
fine.
talking
That's
August
good.
29th? Is that the,
And
Yeah, that's the one.
September.
No, September
both of
5th
them?
is posted.
Oh, we're
We-
good, oh,
yeah,
good,
that's
so
in
just
here.
August
just the-
29th.
And we already
Okay.
voted to
Yeah, just
accept
August
those.
29th.
okay,
But always Cam and Kirsten, because, you know, there's been so much with everything, the elections and all that, so that way they'll make sure that they're up.
All right. Can I get a motion, since we've attacked the motions on the 29th minutes, and we'll approve them at the next meeting, and do I get a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
So Frank made the motion.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.